Hi class, this video is going to be on simplifying radical expressions. So the problem we're going to do is a to the negative 1/3 b to the 1/2 all raised to the 4 times a to the negative 1/2 b to the 3/5 and all of that raised to the power of 10. Now I'll just quickly note here that this is number, let me see here, 88 from section 6.2 on page 450. So that's where this problem is coming from. Now we have a couple choices here for solving this problem. One of them is that I can distribute my exponents to the terms inside of the parentheses, or I can do like I did in class, which is to first deal with the negative exponents. This is actually what I'm going to do because I want to stay consistent with how I do the problems in class. So let's go ahead and first make all of our exponents positive. So in order to do that, the a to the negative thirds is going to come into the denominator and become positive 1/3. In the numerator, I still have b to the 1/2 because it's already positive. But all of this is raised to the power of 4. Doing the same thing with the next one, the a to the negative 1/2 becomes a to the positive 1/2 in the denominator, and the b to the 3/5 actually still stays in the numerator. Now my next step is to go ahead and distribute those exponents. So I'm going to take the 4 and I'm going to distribute it to both the numerator and the denominator. And I'm going to do the exact same thing with the 10 over here, distribute it to its numerator and denominator. Doing that gives me, now remember real quick before I actually do this, the rule I'm using is the one that says a over b to the n is equal to a to the n over b to the n. We have a rule that says that. So that's the one I'm going to use. And when I do that, it's actually slightly different than what I wrote down because my a's and my b's actually also have exponents themselves. So let's go ahead and be very careful with how we write this down and write it down as b to the 1/2 to the 4 over a to the 1/3 to the 4 times b to the 3/5 to the, not 4, to the 10 over a to the 1/2 to the 10. Now I can go ahead and use the rule that says a to the m to the n is equal to a to the m times n. So using this rule, I'm going to multiply these exponents with these exponents, these exponents, and these exponents, and turn those exponents raised to an exponent as a single exponent for each one. So for the first one, I'm looking at b to the 1/2 to the 4. So the question then becomes, what is 1/2 times 4? Well, 1/2 times 4 is 2, which means I'm left with b squared in the numerator. And in the denominator, I get a to the 4/3, because 1/3 times 4 is the same thing as over 1, which is 4/3. So now I have the second fraction. So what's 3/5 times 10? Well, that's actually 6. So b to the 6 And if you don't believe me, we'll go ahead and look at that one on the side real quick too. Here, let me erase this. And we see, well, 3/5 times 10 is the same as 10 over 1. The 5 cancels with the 10, giving me a 2, which is then 6. So that's why I have b to the 6. Okay, next up, we've got one more to look at, and that's a to the 1/2 to the 10. And so what's 1/2 times 10? Well, that's the same thing as asking me what's half of 10, which is 5. So a to the 5. Now we're almost done. Now in order to multiply fractions, like we learned in chapter 5, we need to just multiply the numerators together and then multiply the denominators together. And so when I do that, I can really just write them together, b squared b to the 6 over a to the 4/3 a to the 5. But I'm still not quite done. I'm going to actually specifically use the rules that say a to the n, a to the m is a to the n plus m. So what this is basically saying is that if you have the same base, then you can add the exponents and keep the same base. So in doing that, to our problem, we're looking at b squared b to the 6. Well, that's going to be the same thing as b to the 2 plus 6, which is b to the 8. Now the numerator one is a little bit more tricky because it's a fraction, but that's okay. We know how to do fractions. So it's going to be 4/3 plus 5. Okay, well 4/3 plus 5. We need a common denominator. So let's multiply the 5 by 3 over 3. And then that gives us 4/3 plus 15/3. And 15 plus 4 is 19. So that is going to be 19/3, which ultimately leaves us with b to the 8, over a to the 19/3. And this can't be simplified any further, so I'm done.
Made with Doodlecast Pro.